Welcome back to the Kwik Brain podcast. I'm your host, Jim Kwik, your brain coach for today and every day, I hope. In this episode, we're going to talk about boosting and unlocking your multiple intelligences, how to boost your IQ. And it's not necessarily a set IQ. Most people think when you hear the word IQ, you might think about the standardized tests you did back in school. Even if you think about maybe you took something comparable to the SATs, there's verbal linguistics and the other part was math, right? Now, there was research done in the 80s by Howard Gardner. He was a professor and researcher out of Harvard University that said there are actually multiple intelligences, that there's not just one way to view intelligence or a level of genius, that there are actually multiple categories. And here's the thing, it's not fixed. That there's actually having that growth mindset, right? Which all of you do if you're listening to and watching this show, that it can actually improved, that it's not fixed like your shoe size. So let's talk about your different intelligences. And as you're listening to this, I want you to focus on this in this short session, and as all our episodes are, and see what your takeaways are. All right. I want you to see yourself in this conversation. Now, as I mentioned, there are more than one or two areas of intelligence, according to Howard Gardner's theories. There's actually at least 8, and I'm going to give you a couple more on top of that. And I'm going to give them to you. And when I do, I want you to think about which ones do you think you're strong at? You could give yourself a little bit of a self-assessment. Are you strong in this area? Have you developed it through your own experience? And is this something that you feel that's your element or something that you want to improve? And if it is, let's think of creative ways to boost your intelligence. All right, here we go. In no particular order, let's talk about Howard Gardner's intelligences, multiple intelligences. Let's start with 1, verbal linguistic. We mentioned that. These are individuals that are great orators. These are individuals that love to read. They love to write. They feel connected to that. You can think about also, as I'm going through these categories, iconic individuals that might represent that. Maybe it's a Shakespeare or somebody like that. Or maybe you're thinking about careers that somebody who has high levels of linguistic verbal intelligence would pursue. Okay, so I'm just going to give you the framework here because this is a podcast. We actually do a whole deep dive in this in our book Limitless. Go to limitlessbook.com. Also, our Kwik Thinking course. As you know, our podcast is full of tips. That's our goal for you, is to give you bite-sized ideas and instructions, to be able to give you tips, to be able to see things a little bit differently, maybe act a little differently. Now, if you want a training, make sure you join. Some of you have joined our 21 and 30-day speed reading and memory courses. We also have a program called Kwik Thinking, and it's all assessment-based. So you take an assessment, and you actually could test your strength in certain intelligences, your preferred learning styles, and if you're left brain or right brain, and so much more. Go to kwikthinking.com. And by the way, when you're there, use podcast 15 for a special discount. Great, immediate, instant discount on top of the special bonuses that we offer you. Now let's get back to the show. The second intelligence after verbal linguistic, let's go to mathematical intelligence. And when you think about mathematical intelligence, how do you feel on a scale of 0 to 10? How good are you, or do you feel it's your element to do some algebra, to do some geometry and so on? How do you have a fear of numbers, and how does that express itself and manifest in your everyday life? Do you not like to look at your finances or potentially invest or save money? Okay, what careers, let me ask you, let's make this into a little masterclass. What careers does somebody who is strong in mathematical intelligence pursue? And you're thinking, oh, maybe that person is in finance or they're an accountant, right? Think about that. And also think about a famous individual in your mind that could represent like the poster person for that. Instead of me giving it to you, maybe you think about it. You're thinking like Einstein or somebody else, right? Okay, so that's the second intelligence. Third intelligence, we're going to go through this quickly. Body kinesthetic intelligence. Right? And so some people, amazing with their physical acumen. These are individuals that pursue maybe something, and maybe it's you, athletics. You love to move your body, sports, choreography, some kind of dance, some kind of martial arts. And that's an intelligence, right? To be able to express yourself, your self-awareness is a superpower. Think about the careers that individual might pursue. All right, fantastic. Now the next one I'm going to give you, musical intelligence, and certainly this is a form of intelligence. How would you rate 0 to 10? Do you play a musical instrument? Do you enjoy? Are you proficient at singing and karaoke? Think about the professions, which are kind of obvious, people would pursue. Also, think about a poster person, a famous musician or composer that cements it in your mind, okay? So that's number 4. Let's go into the area of interpersonal intelligence. Interpersonal intelligence, and this is certainly a form of genius. People who are great with other people, self to others. People who have a great ability to connect or influence another individual. Many leaders would be proficient in this area. Maybe an orator, maybe a talk show host, right? A negotiator, maybe even a therapist, somebody who could connect with somebody else. And so how would you rate yourself 0 to 10? And who would be the icon? Who do you think of when I say somebody who's a great people person? Who do you think of in your mind? So just so you could have somebody famous, maybe that cements, or maybe somebody in your personal life. Now you have interpersonal intelligence as self to others. I want you to think about self to self, and that's intrapersonal intelligence. Intrapersonal intelligence is self to self. These are individuals who are highly proficient in the understanding of their own human nature. Maybe you think about a psychiatrist. Maybe you think of some leader that really knows the human condition. Some people might think of Freud or somebody else. Self to self. Very good. So that is, I believe, number 6. A couple more intelligences that we could talk about. Visual spatial intelligence. Now think about it. If somebody has strong acumen or proficiency in visual spatial intelligence, what kind of career would they pursue, or what would they pursue in school? Maybe they'd be an artist or a graphic artist. Maybe they're some kind of designer, interior designer, maybe an architect, right? Visual spatial intelligence. They just know things in time and space, and they can make it functionally and aesthetically pleasing. Think about a famous individual in your mind that would represent it to help cement that idea in your mind. And then finally, the 8th intelligence in Howard Gardner's work, when he talks about frames of mind and multiple intelligence theory, is that of the environmentalist. And the environmentalist is that who has a connection to nature. What careers would you think? Maybe a park ranger, some kind of ecologist, right? Environmentalist, somebody who's really connected with nature, understands the science of nature. So think about that and rate yourself 0 to 10. Now, as we go through this, those are 8 that he published on. Notice where you're strong and notice where you're not as strong, 0 to 10. And I would hallucinate there's one area that you feel more proficient than others, or maybe 2 areas. And even individuals that you think that are highly successful, maybe they embody multiple intelligences. Maybe they're great interpersonal and they're great visual spatial. Maybe they're also great linguistic as well. Maybe also ask yourself, how can I improve in these areas? How can I improve in these areas? Meaning, let's say you want to be better. You rate yourself as a 5, visual spatial. So maybe you want to take an art class, something simple as that, because everything can be improved with proper training. If you don't have strong verbal intelligence or linguistic intelligence, maybe you take our speed reading class or take our memory class so you can improve your business vocabulary quickly and easily, right? Mathematical intelligence, right? You could get financial training. Everybody can improve. So the idea here is that intelligence is not set. And also the other idea that we're talking about, the principle, is that each one is valuable. Not one is more valuable than the other. So which ones are you connected with? Which ones do you want to also improve? I'll give you 2 more intelligences that great thinkers have added to the work. One we'll call spiritual intelligence. And you could define it as you would imagine it is for you. People who are connected to their faith, who teach on their faith and spirituality. So think about professions that would develop in that. Think about academic pursuits. And then finally, another one that's come out recently is that of the practical intelligence. These are individuals that like to learn, but they like to implement what they learned. They like to roll up their sleeves. And maybe this is you. You learn things and maybe it doesn't stay as theory in some ivory tower, or it's something that's just sitting on a book like shelf help. It becomes real self-help, if you will, because practical intelligence are people that take to knowledge and turn it into power through application, through execution, through implementation. So I hope this episode has been valuable. I hope it's been a little bit enlightening. Our goal with Kwik Brain Podcast is to give you ideas, some inspiration, some ideation to look at the world maybe a little bit differently. So when you could see things that are invisible to what most people see, then you could take a method and turn it into what looks like magic. And I would say, as an exercise, I challenge you to look at the intelligences that you're strong in and how can you take it to the next level? What kind of training would enhance that? Or if you take more of a, I want to attack my weaknesses kind of approach, how could you improve those areas where you scored maybe a 0, 1, 2, or 3, and you don't have to make it a 10, right? Maybe you want to play a game and say, how do I take it from a 4 to a 5? What kind of classes, education, how do I upgrade my knowledge, skills, and abilities to get stronger in this area so I could be more full? Remember this, you do not have intelligence. Intelligence is a process. It is a process of your mind, your body, and so much more. And at Kwik Learning and Kwik Brain, we are dedicated to whole self learning, where it's not just your left brain and your right brain, it's your conscious, your unconscious, it's your lifestyle, it's your sleep, it's your diet, right? It's your triune brain, it's your multiple intelligence that all come together to create your whole self. And that whole self, as you know, is limitless. I'm your brain coach, Jim Kwik. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you got value, make sure you please leave us a review. That's the highest praise, and the thing that could support us the most is to share this episode. Share it with somebody that you love, a family member, a team member. Post a review on Spotify, on iTunes. Make sure you subscribe. Join our YouTube channel where we put the extended versions for some of the episodes and other clips that are not available in the other platforms. And make sure you stay connected. Follow us on social media, post a screenshot of this episode, share with me your intelligences. Which one do you tend to be strongest at? Which one do you feel like you could use improvement on? And as always, every single week, we give away books. And so we will repost some of our favorites at random as well, and we'll randomly give out books. Whenever you see me reshare on social media books, sometimes these are books that we've given away, because we believe that you learn to earn so you can return, right? All of us can make a difference. You have that gift inside of you. I'll see you on our next episode. Until then, be limitless.